Oh, here goes, and welcome to the 119th episode of Throwback Hoops. Woody V is on the mic. Please follow the show on YouTube and wherever you listen to your podcast. We appreciate everyone's ongoing support. And as always, I'm joined by my main man, Robert Clayton. What's going on, Robbie?
What's up, little cat? Shout out to my boy, Big Cat, who's in the Western Conference Finals. But yeah, good to be back for another week, mate.
Yeah, I heard there was some bad news in your family recently, man. So my condolences to you and the rest of the Clayton family. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, mate. Yeah, big shout out to my nana who passed away yesterday. 5 months short of her 100th birthday. So yeah, rest in peace to Eva Clayton. We'll always remember you.
For sure, Robbie. So on a more positive note, let's get the show underway, right? You've changed to just the one jersey a week, I presume, from now on?
On to the one jersey. On the jersey front as well, Wood. So got the custom jerseys put in today. So I've got one next to me now, which I need to sort out tonight. That's going to be all my Adidas ones. And then I've got a custom wardrobe upstairs, I should say. Basically got all my Nike, Reebok, and sort of miscellaneous ones there. So looking very good. I decided to put them in team order and alphabetical order. So it shows that I am probably pretty much a crazy person doing that. So as you know, I've got a lot of Adidas ones, like, a good 250, I reckon, of those. So that's going to be my job after the show tonight, is alphabetical order and then team orders.
Nice,
so
man.
Wish me luck with that. So I dug a pretty random one out today. I don't know what made me think of this one. It was a guy that I was used to be a big fan of and don't think I've worn this full stop, let alone on the show. So I'll see if you can guess it when I first stand up. I know numbers isn't your thing, but you'll see what team it is, I guess, from what I'm wearing. But yeah, I'll show you who it is.
Robbie's wearing the Cleveland Cavaliers, number 2, Williams jersey. Mo Williams. That's Mo Williams, yeah?
It is Mo Williams, yeah.
Damn.
You like that one?
Very short stint at Cleveland as well.
Well, not really. You had two stints there.
Two stints, yeah. The final stint was a short one. Yeah, that's right.
It.
Yeah.
It. So you remember this is a guy I loved back in the day, right? So I've got all these random sort of favourite guys. Actually got a Milwaukee Bucks bobblehead of him, which I was setting up in my cabinet last night. So that bobblehead cabinet's all set up as well, Woods. So I should say as well, Woods, we're now over 3 weeks in the new place and still yet to see you making your debut. But there are rumours that you may be coming here to say hi on Friday night.
Yeah, I am. 100%. Yeah.
Sounds good. Well, a little bit about the jersey I'm wearing today. So it's a white Adidas Cleveland Cavs Maurice Williams jersey. So a little bit on the man known as Mo. He was drafted out of Alabama at pick 47 in the second round of the 2003 draft by Utah. Went on to play 13 seasons, including 2 stints with Utah and Cleveland, as well as spending time with Milwaukee, the Clippers, Portland, Minnesota, and Charlotte. So I think he had a really good career, Woods. The guy that I really liked playing, liked watching play. Accolades, a one-time All-Star in 2009, and of course the championship with the Cavs in 2016, with Game 6 of that epic series being his final NBA game. So what a way to go out there. So he's currently 41 years of age, as the head coach for his hometown Jackson State University. So pretty big college there that he's the coach of there. So yeah, a little bit of a trip down memory lane. That last game, as I said, in 2016 was his final NBA moment. He was one of those players, Woods, that was involved in trades after he retired. I think he actually did get traded to Atlanta and then traded on. I think Kyle Korver might have even found his way to Cleveland, one of those trades. So when they do those things there. So I'm going to put you on the spot and give you some trivia, Woods. We know that was a pretty special draft in 2003. So I mentioned that Mo Williams was an All-Star. So there were 8 other All-Stars in that draft. How many of them can you name?
Ooh, in the 2003 draft.
Mm-hmm.
Not sure, man. Let me just...
No Googling. Come on. 2003. Okay. So one of the greatest drafts of all time. So that you should be able to get the first 3.
Yeah, okay. So obviously LeBron.
Yep.
Carmelo Anthony.
Mm-hmm.
Chris Bosh.
Yep.
Kyle Korver.
Did you say Carl?
Kyle.
All right, I'll give you that. Yep.
Kyle Korver.
Yep.
Did I say Dwayne Wade?
No, you didn't. Yep.
Okay, Dwayne Wade.
Right, so you're doing well here. So you've got 3 more to go.
Kaman, maybe?
Kaman, correct. The caveman. I was sort of, when I was doing that research, I'm like, man, he did have some great years, didn't he? Chris the caveman Kaman.
Couldn't remember if he was that year. And
so 2 more. So we've got
David West?
David West, nice. You don't have Google open, do you?
No, I'm not.
Tell me doing this off the dome.
No,
Nice.
I don't have it open.
The other one's possibly a little bit more random. Someone that, I had forgotten he was an all-star, to be honest. So it was definitely a one-time sort of thing there. A Western Conference team. Josh Howard. Nice. Yeah. Very good. Yeah. So how's that for a draft? 9 different players, 9 all-stars from that draft. And 3 of those guys were second rounders as well. So guys like Corver and Mo Williams were quite deep into the second round. So I thought that was pretty cool. What were your memories of Mo Williams?
Man, just a guy who just earned everything that came his way. You know, he had the tough route. You said undrafted from memory, right?
No, drafted out from Utah.
What second round? Late second round?
47.
Yeah, so some guy who's drafted at 47 in the draft, right? Obviously he was drafted, sorry, he's part of that 2003 draft class. Had to work hard, you know. He spent a lot of time back then, it was the D-League, to get his opportunity from memory. I remember him just being a bucket getter, right? Actually, you talk about that Cleveland team, it probably had Zydrunas Ilgauskas and Doniel Marshall, Larry Hughes, those guys. I remember him on
that 2009 team, he really was like the Robin to LeBron's Batman there, making that All-Star game, which was pretty impressive. I sort of like that ability he had to hit big shots. He was definitely wasn't short on confidence, was he? He was always one of those guys with a supreme amount of confidence there. But and I think it was interesting having those 2 stints with Utah and with Cleveland, which you don't see very often. I believe this is definitely off the top of the head there. I think he was traded from Cleveland after that first stint to the Clippers, and I have a feeling that involved like draft picks in that trade, and that was the trade that Cleveland ended up getting Kyrie at number 1 in that draft. Right. So that worked out pretty well. And then funny enough that he was Kyrie's backup in the 2016 championship when, of course, Kyrie had a big series there knocking out Golden State. So, it all comes around in circles. But, as I said, 41, he's been a head coach for a couple of years now and seems to be going pretty well by all accounts. So, random shout-out to Mo Williams.
Yeah, and I think that first season in Utah was when he played very sparingly in that first year with Utah from memory, and he spent a little bit of time in the D League and
possibly. I think he was there a couple of seasons. Then he was traded to Cleveland. Then I think he had a couple of free agency sort of signings towards the end of his career. I know with Minnesota was one of them, maybe even Charlotte as well. So Portland as well. I saw that name like, wow, can't remember him playing for Portland. But I guess when you bounce around a bit like that, it's easy to forget one of the teams. So a bit of a shout out there. So you're rocking a bit of an NBA combo today. Who you got for us?
Wear the classic Mavs hat to signify obviously. Dallas winning and getting to the Western Conference Finals. This is an old school hat, one that Rolando Blackman and Fat Lever and those guys would be proud of. See the old logo. So anyway, I'll stand up, have a look at my jersey. New one.
Nice. With the stand up rocking the Illawarra Hawks. I think I know who this one is. Bit of AJ Johnson. Nice. Apparently he's been looking pretty good in those pre-draft games as well, right?
Yeah, he's climbing up the draft boards. Played sparingly with the Illawarra Hawks. I think 7 or 8 minutes a game, averaged 2 or 3 points. It was a learning curve for him. He's young. I guess you're right. He's currently projected to be a late first round or an early second round pick. Yeah. A couple of strengths and weaknesses that have come out, and I'll just read you a couple of observations from some of the scouts around AJ Johnson. He's a 6'5" combo guard. This is one of his strengths. Good size and length for his position. Good athlete and very fluid. Very quick. One of the fastest in this class and stays under control at high speed. Weaknesses. Still projects to mature physically, but he currently lacks much strength and doesn't handle contact well. Losing the ball at times while trying to fit into tight spaces. Improving his strength is going to be really important, Robbie, because the way he plays with his downhill attacking style of play, he's going to need to learn how to finish in the trees and traffic, right? So I guess getting into the weight room is going to be important for him. But what are your memories of him from his stint here at the Hawks?
Well, firstly, I think he might have even had the highest vertical leap as well in that NBA draft camp as well, which is pretty amazing effort there. I'm sure I read that he had the highest vertical leap, which is pretty impressive for a 6'5" combo guard. But yeah, one of those guys that, look, showed a bit of excitement, didn't he, at times when he came on. It was a little bit hard to read too much into it. What did you say, 8 minutes a game he averaged there? So he was, of course, on an absolute loaded Illawarra Hawks roster there. So it was actually hard. It wasn't like they weren't playing because he wasn't any good. He just had a lot of quality guys playing in front of him there. So I think it was a good experience for him coming down under here. And yeah, one of these guys that I saw that Alex Tui's not declaring this year, but what are we looking like? So AJ Johnson, Alex Sarr, Klinman, Who else? Someone else I've forgotten, right? So they're looking at maybe 4 or 5 guys that were playing in the NBL last season that will get drafted this year, which is just amazing. I think it's
Ariel Hukporti is the other one you're thinking of.
I haven't heard, his name seems to be sliding a bit from some of the reports I'm hearing, but surely he gets up, in the second round somewhere.
Sure.
But it's going to be exciting on draft days, and not just because our Hawks have got number 1, but to see where all these guys that represented the NBL so well will end up drafting. So, no, excited about that. Nice looking jersey too, I've got to say.
Thanks, man.
A little bit dirty because I think I might have done my NBL jersey order a day before you, and mine haven't come today, so haven't come as of yet. So a bit annoying. Yeah.
Nice. All right, well, let's get into it. I wanted to focus on the NBA solely this episode. Obviously, the conference finals have just finished, so I'm just going to bring up a little graphic here, and for those who can't see, let's just quickly go through it and educate them on what occurred. So in the Western Conference semifinals, the Dallas Mavericks, as I alluded to earlier with this hat, defeated the Oklahoma City Thunder 4-2, and the surprise, the upset, you would say, maybe not for you, but I would say it would be an upset here. The Nuggets losing to the Minnesota Timberwolves in a 7-game series, 4-3 in the Western Conference. So that creates a matchup between the Mavs and the Timberwolves, which kicks off tomorrow, correct, Robbie?
Mm-hmm.
Time of recording, Wednesday, 22nd of May. So, yep, that Western Conference Finals kicks off tomorrow. And in the Eastern Conference, the Celtics took care of the Cavaliers with a gentleman's sweep, 4-1.
Yeah.
And then the Pacers defeated the battered and bruised New York Knicks 4-3 to enter into the Eastern Conference Finals, where they blew a great opportunity to take a 1-0 lead and steal one at the Garden from the Celtics today, the Pacers, and they're down 1-0 in that series. So we'll get into that in a moment. So let's maybe start with the Western Conference then, Robbie, shall we? Mavericks versus Thunder. What were your thoughts there?
Firstly, Woods, I didn't see the Hawks on that graphic there. So did they not make the playoffs? Jeez, that's disappointing. So starting in the West, right? So a little bit about Dallas OKC. Yeah. I mean, look, I really enjoyed that series, I've got to say. I kind of felt like maybe one season too early, I reckon, for OKC. I think a few people have said now, I think they probably needed to make a bit of a trade at that draft deadline just to bring in another maybe veteran-type centre in there. I think that was something they did lack a little bit. Look, Chet Holmgren is still a rookie, even though it was, the playoffs after the actual regular season. Thought he just needed a little bit more inside help. I thought Lively sort of bullied him a few times under the ring, sort of getting offensive rebounds, second chances and everything. So that's probably something that they need to shore up in the off-season. But look, they've got a great young team, don't they? Exciting to watch. SGA did it from everywhere. I particularly liked SGA's effort in Game 5, the one that on Dallas's home court there. I thought he was just amazing in that game there. Look, a little bit disappointed with the Giddey situation. It's probably something we could talk about as well, whether he's played his last game there. I'd say it's pretty likely, right?
Yeah, let's go there now.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, his trade value is probably at an all-time low now. If you would have talked about 6 months ago, he was putting up big numbers there. I think his game needs to develop a bit. Hopefully, playing with the Boomers this off-season in the Olympics will maybe improve a few bits of his game there. Still haven't seen that development on his jump shot that I thought we might have by now. Look, he's never going to be an amazing shooter, is he? But I think he at least needs to keep defences honest out there. And I think in terms of his other offensive play, I think he needs to use his height a bit more. I mean, the guy's huge. If you're talking at true point guards, he would be the tallest point guard in the NBA, right, if I'm not mistaken. So why aren't they sort of getting involved more in post play? Perhaps not as a scoring option out of the post, but set him up as a post advantage on a smaller guard and then look for him to pass out, use that height advantage to see over the defender and make some nice plays there. So I don't know. Do you think he'll be back or not?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know if he's going to be traded in the offseason, but I don't expect him to be there at the trade deadline. But I mean, you look at his impact that he had in the last few games against New Orleans, right? It was just a bad matchup for him against Dallas, I feel. And he did shoot 33.7%, 34% at the from three in the regular season this year. So in terms of keeping him honest, keeping defenses honest, he's taken some strides this year.
I don't know that 33% is that good though, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's not great, but it's possible, right? I mean, it was better than it was last year. I think shooting around 30% last year. So he has taken a stride. Obviously, if he can get that up into the 37, 38, that's where he's really keeping defenses honest. I mean, there've been those comparisons with Ben Simmons, which I think are slightly unfair. Ben Simmons obviously refuses to take that 3-point shot, but he's an all defensive, he's a defensive beast. He's an all-star, right? So he gives you something Giddey doesn't give on the defensive end of the floor. So the comparisons are a bit unfair, I think. But he's a lead guard. You don't want him playing the 2 or the 3 spot. The development of J-Dub has also, taken a little bit away from him, right? Never did we think in his second year J-Dub would be able to, be this have this kind of productivity. So, I think we may have seen his last game, but I wouldn't be surprised if they try and get his trade value up early in the season and shop him before the trade deadline. Quickly, one guy I wanted to just talk to you about on the Dallas side of things. At the trade deadline this year, they brought in, Daniel Gafford, PJ Washington, right? What kind of impact both of those guys have had an impact at different times throughout the back half of the season. But PJ Washington almost creates a big 3 there with Kyrie and Luka. How impressive has his play been in the playoffs, man?
Definitely. Talk about a good trade for him. He was on one of the NBA's worst teams, and the trade deadline gets sent to Dallas, and now he's in the Western Conference Finals. So pretty remarkable there. Look, he was really quiet in that game 6, wasn't he? And then the fourth quarter, I think he scored 8 points and had a couple of big defensive plays. So no, he is big. I think he's if he can continue to make that 3-point shot more consistent, he's going to be a huge weapon for them. Love the way he plays defense. I like that kind of little bit of an attitude that he's got as well. I kind of like it in a positive way. So I think he's got a bit of a, he rates himself highly, which you need to in that situation. So no, he's been a great signing for them, and that's going to be huge to see him in that Western Conference Finals.
Yep, no worries. Yeah, I totally agree with you. Let's move to the other side of the Western Conference, then the other side of the bracket, and we saw the Nuggets lose to the Timberwolves 4-3. Never have I seen a 7-game series that was so one-sided in every game. There was a stat, I think, that the betting line was off by 10 at least in every game, and in some games it was off by about 30. So it was like a 7-game series, right? But every game was decided by double digits, right? So it's almost like back and forth, and you see a situation where the first 2 games were won away from home by Minnesota. The next 3 games were won by Dallas, and the last 2 games by Minnesota. So the eventual winner won the first 2 and the last 2 with 3 sandwiched in the middle, and 5 out of the 7 games were the away team winning. So, that's a pretty unique series, right?
Am I being harsh here? Yana Novotny, Greg Norman, Buffalo Bills, Denver Nuggets. Harsh or not? They were up 20 points in a Game 7 at home. That's a choke, right? If ever I've seen one.
Definitely.
It is. There's no doubt about it,
Yeah, and I think, when you've got, when you they played that first half in that Game 7 so well, right? And like I've heard people say, they played defense like Minnesota did in the first half. Minnesota played that level of defense in the second half. But you're up by 20. We got the home crowd behind you. They're playing at that altitude, which they're used to, which makes it a lot more difficult for Minnesota.
Yeah.
So credit has to be given where credit's due. I think that losing Mike Conley for that, 5th game affected them a little bit, but bringing him back into the fold, I thought that leadership is what is needed, to take them home and win those final 2 games. So
Hey, can we spend the rest of the show talking about my boy Naz Reid and my boy Big Cat, or what? Come on, let's show those guys some love, right? Look, Naz Reid, I've been talking him up all year. He's been amazing this playoffs. A lot of people sort of forget he was pretty much the prime matchup for Kevin Durant in that first round in which Minnesota swept that star-studded Phoenix team. I thought he was huge against Denver. He had maybe one game where he wasn't quite himself there, but making huge defensive plays. He seemed like to match up pretty well in the times he was on the Joker there. Such a stretch, 4 or 5 player as well, that he can hit that outside shot with some consistency there. So I love him as that third big with Rudy Gobert, aka Rudy Gobert, and of course the Big Cat. That's a formidable big 3 in terms of like your main guys inside, right? So loving what he's doing there. And shout out to Big Cat as well. He's a player that's been, often maligned during his career. He's had injury worries. He's had a few little random things, off-court things and that, but it's great to see him, living up to his potential this series. I thought he was huge in that Game 7. He really had some big plays there. Loved that tip-in that he did. That was kind of the clincher, I thought, in that fourth quarter. But loving seeing what these guys are doing. And mate, I told you, I think when the first round started, when the Hawks were out, that Minnesota was my team. I was cheering them on in that game against Denver like they were my team. It was actually quite strange. So really like some of the guys that they play there as well.
I think when we did our predictions, you had them at second in the Western Conference. You had Naz Reid as sixth man of the year. You've been high
MVP, Hall of Fame, everything. Naz Reid,
But just to your point, those three bigs offer something different. Naz Reid has the ability. He's got guard-like skills. He has the ability to put the ball on the floor, attack the rim, score with those little underarm like layups that a guard would finish at the rim with. Then you've got Rudy Gobert, defensive-minded center.
Hitting fadeaway jump shots and stuff.
I cannot believe he made that. I cannot believe
the bench enjoyed that one, didn't they?
Oh my god! Jeez. And then obviously Cat gives you that modern new age center who likes to stretch the floor. Can back you down in the post a little bit. I was really impressed with the way he played defense throughout this series as well.
He's a good defender. 100%. Yep.
So yeah, I mean, I think it's hard to look past them, now that momentum they've got, and they were designed. People have said this. They were designed to take on that Denver team, right?
Yeah. And teams like OKC weren't, right? So I mean, I think OKC had they got through to this next round, I don't know how they would have gone against the likes of those two teams. They would have been totally outplayed inside.
But tell me something. Looking at Denver, it's always tough. We've spoken about this before. You win a championship, and a few guys price themselves outside of the market, right? Bruce Brown found another home. Uncle Jeff found another home. When we look back on this series, and they pretty much get nothing from their bench, right? They got Chris Brown. Holiday was playing a little bit. I mean, Reggie Jackson, few minutes here and there. You're pretty much relying on those five guys, right? And not having Bruce Brown and Uncle Jeff. How did that have a detrimental effect on Denver's performance?
Woods, you're talking about relying on five guys. One of those five happens to be one of the most overrated players in the NBA as well. So I'm talking about a 6'10" guy who averages about as many rebounds in the NBA as we do. Honestly, Michael Porter Jr. in that series was hard to watch. I think he might have scored double figures one of the games. If someone can correct me if I'm wrong on that one, but he was awful. Basically, his defense sucked. For a guy that big, he should be better on defense. His just jump shot just was not reliable. So for me, someone that's got that sort of contract and that sort of name that he's got, Porter Jr. Look, to his defense, I know he's got a lot of stuff outside of basketball at the moment, but at the end of the day, you're putting on that jersey, you've got to come on and rep your team there. So he was the biggest disappointment out of any player in the playoffs so far for me. That's Michael Porter Jr. But you're right, though. The bench is really weak on that team there. And what did they say that stat? It was the sixth year in a row that a championship team hasn't made it out of the second round, I think I heard. So it just shows you, and you're right. Players' prices go up. They can get that free agent contract because they've got that championship player on their resume now. So I'm sure it'll happen to whoever wins this year as well.
Yep, I agree with you, man. Well, let's move over to the Eastern Conference then, right? Let's start off with the first series, the Cavs and the Celtics. Did we expect anything less from the Celtics, with a gentleman's sweep over the Cavs?
No, I was pretty much expected. It was strange that Boston lost that game too. I think we might have mentioned that last week, and they lost the game two at home in the first round. But no, I found it a pretty uneventful series, to be honest. Felt a bit sorry for Cleveland, almost like I did with the Knicks. That last game there, they had so many injuries in that game, Cleveland. So it never kind of really felt fair, did it? And Boston doesn't seem like they've been totally tested in these first two rounds. So yeah, probably don't need to spend too much time on that series, do we? Cleveland will probably be happy to make it in the second round, even though there's talks that Bickerstaff may not be back as well. We got them through to the second round. I thought that was a decent effort. But, yeah, what can you do with so many players out?
He's done a great job, Bickerstaff, and I think that's a bit harsh, to be treated like that. So tell me something. Donovan Mitchell's the big question mark here. A lot of people are saying he wants to come back. A lot of people are saying he might move. What do you see? Has Donovan Mitchell played his last game with the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? Look, I know he's been a player that's been talked about wanting to play for one of those glamour teams in the past, and absolutely Cleveland are not one of those teams. So, does he want to try and find his way to a team like Brooklyn, maybe, or somehow get to one of the LA teams? I've heard Atlanta's name involved. I'm not quite sure they're a glamour team, but I don't know what we'd have to give up to get him there. Would it have to be someone like DeJounte to get Donovan Mitchell? Does that really solve any of the Hawks' deficiencies there, given that DeJounte is a much bigger player there? So I don't mind him on the Cavs, if I'm being honest. If he's happy, I think they definitely want him back on that team. I don't mind that. I've quite enjoyed watching some of their games this year, Cleveland. But yeah, I wonder if he'll sort of the brighter lights will call him and he'll go to a team like I mentioned there.
Yeah, well, Quinn Snyder and him have that relationship as well, right? So when you talk about Atlanta, but I mean, you talk about the Cavs and their injuries, missing, Jared Allen, right?
Yeah.
missing.
Karis LeVert missed games as
Karis
well.
LeVert,
Donovan Mitchell missed a couple. Yeah, I mean they
Yeah.
were hammered with injuries, weren't they?
And we see those guys come back fully healthy. Evan Mobley develops a little bit more. There's no reason why they can't run this back with this team and be more successful next year.
No, agreed for sure.
All right, let's move over to the other side of the Eastern Conference. Probably my favorite series in a long time. Definitely my favorite series of the playoffs so far. Indiana versus New York. 4-3, a lot of tight games, a lot of storylines coming out of it. Legends were created, on both sides.
Yeah.
How much did you enjoy this series?
Yeah, loved it as well. I think I'll probably call that my favourite series so far, although I did enjoy that OKC Dallas. I think at one stage towards half-time of that Game 7 Woods, the Knicks had 5 of their best 7 players out for the game. So you're talking OG, Mitchell Robinson, Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, and
Josh Hart
and Bogdanovic. No, Josh Hart was still playing somehow.
Time,
Bogdanovic was the other one. So, I mean, crazy to think, you add those 5 players back then. That's a really deep team. So, I think definitely an overall successful season for the Knicks. Need to sort out these injuries. But, yeah, I thought it was a great series. And, look, you can talk about these Knicks injuries all you want, but a massive credit has got to go to the Pacers there. I thought they were really well coached in that series. It wasn't like Halliburton went off every game. He had a couple of games where he wasn't amazing. He certainly found form towards the end. Miles Turner was really impressive for me. Guys like TJ McConnell just stepped up every night and just took it to everyone. I thought they did really well. And I know we'll talk a little bit about the game today, but they should be up 1-0 in that Eastern Conference Finals. They chucked the game away.
They should be. How impressive are guys like Aaron Nesmith and Nemhard as well, right?
Yeah.
These youngsters coming through and being given a lot of responsibility, and they've not shied away from that, have they?
Tell me, Nesmith was on the Celtics roster, right? Was he like a free agent signing for Indiana, or was he traded there? I can't remember how he actually got there. But
yeah, I can't remember. I love Aaron Nesmith, man.
He's decent, isn't he? Yeah, his game's definitely improved this year. He can certainly defend as well. I like the way he's quite aggressive on D and everything as well. So I'm going to say it probably likely was a free agent signing.
No, he was traded alongside with Daniel Theis, Juwan Morgan, and Nick Stauskas and a 2023 first round
Sauce Castillo
to the Indiana Pacers in exchange for Malcolm Brogdon. There you go.
Yeah, the president. That's right. Interesting. Yeah. So, I think they probably won that trade then, maybe. Huh.
Yeah, definitely. So I just we'll get to that final series just after this, but I want to attach a couple of things we've spoken about. You mentioned earlier that the OKC Thunder probably in the market for another big, an experienced big man, right? One guy who has done his value on the open market, no harm, is Hartenstein, I mean, he's been great. And for the way he's playing now, he's a starting center in this league, right? He's proven that he is. He's a great playmaker.
Yeah,
he's
great.
Unselfish, makes the right decisions, great offensive rebounder, great defender, can protect
high
the rim.
IQ I've noticed as well.
Very
he's
high
very
IQ.
smart. Reads the game well, yeah.
So he's going to be worth 15-20 million a year now, right? That's the going price for a center now, right?
Probably. Yep.
You cannot bring back Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein, right? You cannot, right? I mean, they want to throw money at OG Anunoby, who knows what's going to happen with Julius Randle.
Got to keep the Villanova 3 together as well. They're going to have to pay those 3 guys. Yep.
You can't keep those 2 big men together. You probably have to do with a Precious Achua or someone like that who comes a little bit cheaper, on the market. And Mitchell Robinson has a lot of great intangibles, but he's just always injured, right? He's always injured.
Yes.
Can you trust him to play 70 games in a year? Can you trust him to stay fit? Wouldn't you be more inclined to try and shop Mitchell Robinson and throw some money at Hartenstein? Isaiah Hartenstein, that's his first name, right? Yeah.
Look, it would be, but every other team's seen how injury-prone Mitchell Robinson is as well. So that's the thing that you may not... I mean, depends on what you're hoping to get from him. There's no way you get a first round. Or maybe in this year's draft, you might get a late first-round pick for him. But I think you're more than likely looking at, getting a bench player from another team. Maybe you might get a second rounder back for him, Mitchell Robinson, which probably doesn't seem fair given how he can impact the game there. But I think teams will know, look, these 2 guys do play similar sort of styles. I think Hartenstein's a bit more all-rounded, I guess, than Mitchell Robinson. But, yeah, I think you're right. I don't think you can bring both of them back. And the big man Hartenstein's probably the one that you want to bring back.
Yeah, someone like OKC, if they go with the Mitchell Robinson route, someone like OKC could look at bringing in someone like a Hartenstein, right?
Yeah, he'd be huge for them, wouldn't he? Yeah,
right.
Definitely.
He'd be that perfect fit. I just thought of it when you said.
Hey, I hear that OKC may have a couple of draft picks, so maybe they can make that happen, right?
Sure, if anyone can, they can, right?
Yeah.
Well, I guess Hartenstein's a free agent, so they wouldn't need to do that. They just throw money at him, right?
It could be some sort of sign and trade, though. You never know.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's move on to that. You mentioned the Eastern Conference Finals, Game 1 today, Indiana Pacers versus Boston Celtics. I mean, why don't you tell the audience, people who didn't watch today, how the Pacers imploded? They were up 3 with, 9 seconds to go?
Yeah, well, firstly, I think the over and under for that game was like 270 or something like that. So just ridiculous for a conference finals game. But yeah, I mean, Indiana started bad, didn't they? They were down, I think, 12-0. Boston really came out firing there. But full credit to the Pacers. Halliburton seemed to hit some big shots there, beat a couple of buzzers with some crazy sort of shots that he threw up there. But yeah, they did throw it away at the end. Just a poor inbounds pass. I think they threw it in the direction of Drew Holiday, which is never a wise thing to do given his length and long arms there. But they just needed to inbound the ball. And never understand with teams like that, they're always looking for these long sort of inbound passes. Get a guy right like near the passer sort of thing and almost hand the ball off. Get a player to create separation, block the defender, and you're almost passing the ball to someone. No, it's easier said than done, but I think that's a lot more of a risk-free sort of way to pass it in. But I felt from a little bit Indiana, that would have been huge to see him get that game 1 win. But in the end, I think it may end up being a fairly short series, but that was definitely their chance today, wasn't it?
Oh, definitely. I think, why not call a timeout during that inbound scenario, right? And Jaylen Brown hit the 3 to send it to overtime, right? Now,
tough shot too. Wow.
Tough shot. This is what I want to ask you, and JJ Redick, LeBron James, they were talking about this on their podcast recently. You have to foul in that scenario, right? Send them to the free throw line. Why let them shoot a 3? You're up by 3. The clock's running down. Foul the guy, send him to the free throw line, extend the game out a bit longer, get another possession.
100%.
It's dumb, man.
It's a thing we've seen a lot of coaches sort of bring in that strategy over the last few years. You're right. A lot of people would 100% do that. It would just be a regular part of the game. Yep, you've got to foul to, not have that chance of a team hitting a 3 there. So, yeah, you're right. I wonder if that was a bit of a breakdown by the coaching staff there. But, yeah, really one that got away for the Pacers.
All right, so give me a prediction now. Now, that's going to hurt them, right? Are they going to be able to come back and take another game or two here?
Hey, shout out to Miles Turner, I will say. Woods, he's been the subject to trade rumours for about 25 years. So, yeah, he was amazing in that game. Love that he's a two-way player and everything. Also pretty cool that both of these teams we saw live, the Eastern Conference Finals. So we've seen both these teams firsthand, which was pretty cool. Gentleman sweep for me, Woods. Boston 4-1.
Yep, I'll agree with that. No, you know what? I'm going to go 4-2. They're going to win 2 games, right?
Sure.
How much do Boston need Kristaps Porzingis, by the way, to come back and be fit?
Big time, yeah. Seems like he's a day away from being a day away, so I don't know what the go is with him here. Obviously, he's got a pretty decent injury history of his own there, so yeah, huge difference if he comes back. As much as Al Horford was good and has been good throughout the playoffs, they did mention on the call today that they were attacking him on defense, were they? I mean, what about that stat as well? He's the third most playoff games played without a championship. Did you see who the 2 guys in front of him were?
I would
couple of teammates, former teammates.
Joe Johnson,
a good bloke and a terrible bloke might be a good way to say it.
Joe Johnson.
One never delivered on Sundays, and the other one.
Oh, okay.
Looked like he should be working in an office or something. Yeah.
What, mailman?
Yeah.
Okay, and Charles Barkley.
He's mate. No, mailman's mate.
Oh, Stockton.
Yeah. So there, but I think if Horford, say they get through and he still doesn't end up winning, he'll be second on that list.
I thought he said 2 of Al Horford's old teammates.
Two old mates. No. So yeah, I'd love to see him. I'd love to see Horford get a championship. Then I love the way he still plays. But yeah, just his quickness on defense to be able to guard guys that are getting him downhill there. It has dropped off a bit. So interesting to see if they make any adjustments with that one there. But yeah, hopefully it is a long series. I hope it's not 4-1. But yeah, just have a few concerns about the Pacers now.
Yeah, for sure. I hear you. Let's move over to the Western Conference now. Dallas, Minnesota. Right? I feel Minnesota is going to has the upper hand here with the kind of roster they have. Dallas do not have the tools here to challenge them in a 7-game series. Other people disagree with me. They think Dallas are going to be really competitive. It'll be interesting to get your thoughts.
Yeah, looking forward to this one. Look, I know we mentioned last week Kyrie's been really impressive in the playoffs, so there's no doubt that gives them 2 big game players in Luka and Kyrie. Luka kind of lived up to what we spoke about, didn't he, in those last few games? I mean, the complaint levels just They're getting out of hand, Woods. He's going to turn, if he's not careful, into one of those most hated NBA players, I reckon. People are like, I know so many people that can't stand Luka. I think just with the constant complaining, but no matter what he complains about, the guy's just a straight up baller, isn't he?
Yeah, for sure.
I think that he shines on the big moment as well, so he's going to be really up for this series. I think it's going to be great matchups all over the place. A really intriguing series, I think. I do think Minnesota's certainly got the upper hand defensively there, but there's no doubt Dallas has got a lot of weapons. I like some of the depth they've got on that Dallas team. We know guys like Hardaway can come on and, get hot in a couple of quarters and, impact you winning a playoff game there. Lively's been really good. How will he hold up? He's only in the all-rookie second team, which is kind of a surprise there. Also, we're going to talk about all defensive team. 4 of the 5 selected were centers. I mean, what sort of bullshit is that? But anyway, that's a story for another day. But, looking forward to this one. Minnesota having the home court advantage will be pretty big, I reckon, even though they've lost a few on that home court. But, looking forward to this one to start tomorrow.
Yeah, definitely. Give me a prediction.
Minnesota 7-0. Can that happen? No. I'll say Minnesota in 6. I'd say they'll finish it off on Dallas's home court. I'd love to see this one go to 7 and get a really good series, and I certainly hope Minnesota wins, but just have a feeling Minnesota in 6.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. And shout out to 2 Australians on that Dallas Mavericks team. Josh Green, Dante Exum, making the Western Conference Finals as well. Yeah,
for sure.
All right, man. Thanks for that. Thanks for all your thoughts. Really interesting. It's going to be fun couple of weeks as we head into the NBA championships.
Hey, Woods, I know you want to do some classic packs. I did want to give one quick shout out.
Sure.
Of course, I'm going to talk about the NBL 1 East. That's what I do there. Lauren, the GOAT Jackson, last week. So just had a cool 50 points in about 28 minutes. I think they're playing for Albury. So Albury is still yet to lose a game there in the NBL 1 East women's competition. They're just a ridiculous team. They rested her the next day and they still won behind Unique Thompson, who I think I read she had 30 points and 25 rebounds. So that was a pretty decent effort with the import there, Thompson. So, just a massive shout out to Lauren, the GOAT Jackson there. I don't think I'll be commentating her next month. I think she has to go to Paris, right? I know a lot of people saying maybe her defense, can you play her a whole lot in Paris? I absolutely think you can. I think she's a matchup breaker herself. Her shot's looking really good at the moment. Just that veteran presence. If she wants to go, I think they have to select her there. So I'd love to call her game for Hills against Albury, but don't think it'll happen. But just wanted to give a massive shout out to the GOAT there. 50 points at age 43.
Yes, 43, 44. Has she made herself available? I thought she wasn't making herself available.
I heard last time that she had, and then she hadn't, but now she's still thinking about it. So I'm not sure. Surely they've got to keep a spot open there. If she wants to go, you chuck her that airline ticket.
How many rebounds to go with that 50 points? 20 odd as well, right?
I don't think that game was 20, but I don't think she played enough minutes, and because no one was really missing all game. But they've got some just incredible players on that team. So anyone, I encourage people to watch the NBL 1 East all the time anyway. But chuck on Albury, right? You also, if you're watching a men's Albury game, you get to see William Davo Hickey, who's probably going to win the MVP in the men's comp this year. He's nearly averaging a triple-double, which is amazing. But, Lauren Jackson, just amazing what she's still doing at this age.
Yeah, amazing. Yeah, shout out to the GOAT. All right, so let's move on. I've got my classic packs. We did Series 2. We did Series 2 Skybox inaugural edition. I got the Series 1 this time. Yeah?
Ooh, okay. I know I crushed last week. Just crushed it, didn't I? Yeah.
Right, let's go. Hopefully we have more mainstream.
Hey, why that Hawks jersey you're wearing, did they not have like a major sponsor? I always wondered that. Why is there that massive gap at the top of the jersey, right? It's a nice colour jersey. I like the pinstripe. It's just, you know what I mean? It's almost like it needs something in that space between the champion logo and the Hawks writing there. So, maybe we can sponsor them next year. What do you reckon? Throwback Hoops.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
Let's do it.
Okay. So I've got Portland Trailblazers forward, 6'7", was part of those great teams alongside Clyde Drexler, Buck Williams, Kevin Duckworth,
Jerome Kersey.
Oh,
so he was a solid player back in the day, wasn't he? Yeah. Nice card. Show me the back of those ones. Got a headshot. Oh, it's a bit of an action shot. Yeah, cool.
Okay, I would not know this guy from a bar of soap. He was number 32 at the Miami Heat, and I'm not talking about Shaq because this is 1989.
Mark Allery?
No. He's a 6'10" forward. Can't tell you much more about him. He averaged 9.5 points, 5.2 rebounds.
9.5, he said.
Yeah.
So he wasn't a stiff getting those
No.
points. Number 32 for Miami. Was he a whitey or
Black guy.
32? Not Terry Davis.
Hellas Frank.
Oh, I do remember him. Yeah, I think he might have had time with New Jersey as well back in the day. But yeah, wow, that's a name I have not thought of for a long time now.
Lakers legend. North Carolina alumni.
Big game, James.
Big game, James Worthy.
Nice. Look at that. He was about to spin round someone and get to the rim there. Yeah, great player.
Became a coach from memory. He did become a coach after he finished playing. 7 foot center. I think he became a coach for the Golden State Warriors in the late 80s.
Center for Golden State.
I think he became a coach.
What number?
Number 32 as well. Let me have a look if he did become a coach.
Not Joe Barry Carroll.
Nah, white guy. He's Canadian.
Oh, Mike Smrek?
Yeah, Mike Smrek.
Nice.
Exactly.
It was always a hard one to spell, that one, wasn't he? Is that your boy AC guarding him as well?
Yeah, it is too.
Nice.
It is
Yeah,
too.
Mike Smrek. Wow, that's another name I hadn't thought of for a while. Look at those shorts he's got on as well. Man.
Yeah. Okay, well, he didn't become a coach.
So that was a terrible clue, in other
That
words.
was a terrible clue. I just thought I heard that he did. Okay, part of a trade that sent him from the Bulls to the San Antonio Spurs.
Jack Haley?
No, this is the Rodman trade.
So he was Will Perdue.
Will Perdue.
Yeah, nice. I think he's barely getting that dunk in as well there. Look at that picture there. So, I mean, they just went through Chicago, didn't they? Those massive white centers, right? Your Bill Wenningtons, Jack Haley, Will Perdue, Lucian, James Longley. They had so many of those big guys, didn't they, on those teams?
Yep, this next guy had a successful career in coaching. Many criticized him and the job he did at OKC, but I thought he was a great players coach. Had some
Scotty
time.
Brooks.
Scotty Brooks. Yep.
Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Funny story about that card, Woods. That's why I remember that. So I was heavy in collecting these ones back in the day, and it was obviously pretty hard to collect sets back in the day, right? If you needed one. Scotty Brooks, that card, show us again. That was the last card I needed for my set. No joke. And I had to trade a mate, like a real gun like type player, which annoyed me. It was lucky I had a double to get that Scotty Brooks card. So yeah, it brings back some memories seeing that one there.
Okay. Legend from the Phoenix Suns. 6'7", guard forward.
Thunder Dan Murley.
No, could put up buckets. Moved into broadcasting. Still
Eddie
broadcasting
Johnson.
to the Eddie Johnson.
Nice. He is good. I know Zach Lowe's had him a few times on his podcast. He's pretty good value. Not to be mistaken for the other Eddie Johnson, who I think might have played with the Hawks and may have also had a bit of time in the state penitentiary as well. So shout out to the good Eddie Johnson.
Yep. Now I've got to find out some clues here for you on this guy. So give me a second.
Do better than the Mike Smrek one. Come on. I don't know how I got that with that clue. That's all right.
Okay. Serbian player, right? I can't even think there was a Serbian player other than Vlade Divac at this time. Averaged 2.6 points a game. 6'9" forward for the San Antonio. No, 6'9" forward for the
Zarko Pespageli.
Yes, well done.
You like that one?
Well done.
Nice. I don't know how I pulled that one out. He was huge, right? What's his height?
Yeah.
What's his height?
6'9". Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Geez, blasting the pass.
Okay, so this center from the Mavericks would have loved this hat. He was playing at this time. He's wearing
James
a jersey.
Donaldson.
No. Black center, played for the New York Knicks afterwards for a bit. Had a solid NBA career, role-playing center. Career average of 13.9 points in 7.4 games up to 1990. Okay, 6'11". Number 32 as well. You're kidding me?
Wow, what's going on?
Yeah.
So not James Donaldson. What's that one not coming to you? How am I getting Mike Smrek and that Zarko?
You know this guy. You know this guy well.
I'm sure I do. Yeah.
Some people like to smoke the. Herb Williams.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, New York. Now you said that right. He was a part of those sort of early teams. Bit of an enforcer and a veteran presence. Yeah, nice.
St. John's, New York.
Chris
One
Mullen.
of the greatest shooters of all time. Yeah?
That's an easy one. Chris Mullen, right?
Oh, man.
Nice. Yeah, he was great, Chris Mullen.
Okay, checklist card. This is just a random checklist card of like
do that test like you did last week. You gonna do the test or what?
No, but this is not a team checklist card. It's just got like from numbers 270 up to, you know.
God, they were a disappointing card when you used to get those back in the day, wouldn't they? You got a checklist like that.
At least the team checklists are good.
Yeah, at least you can do a bit of trivia like that. That's terrible. Yeah. And who actually used it as a checklist and actually ticked names off the back?
I did back in the day.
Did you? Okay. Yeah, shout out to you for doing that. Yeah.
All right. This man was almost in tears. Well, actually, he was in tears when Scottie Pippen refused to go into the game that day against New York when Tony Kukoc got given the game-winning shot. He was the leader on that Bulls team, right? Center, probably the weirdest free throw shooting technique of all time.
Dollar Bill Cartwright.
Bill Cartwright.
Yeah, nice. Man. Yeah, that was a pretty infamous moment in Bulls history, wasn't it? It was good for Kukoc, though.
I've got no idea who these three guys are, all right? Utah Jazz guard, 6'2", number 15, averaged 1.1 points a game and shot 238 from the field.
Firstly, I wanted to know why they put out a card for someone averaging 1 point a game. So, I don't know, Jim Les.
Eric Johnson.
Who? Wow. How did he get a card? 1.1. What did you say? 1.1?
1.1 points, shooting 23.8% from the field.
Wow. That's amazing. Eric Johnson, you say?
Yep.
Okay.
Number 45 for the Orlando Magic. 6'7" forward. I've got very little memory of this guy. This is one of the really bad Orlando teams before Shaq got there.
6'7" forward. 45. Man, got some random players.
Michael Ansley.
Yeah, I do remember him. Yeah.
Yep.
I wouldn't have got it, but I do definitely remember.
And then finally, I'm not Ellison, but I'm still
Ellis?
No. What's Ellison's first name? Never nervous?
Purvis.
Okay, so a different Purvis.
Purvis Short.
Purvis Short.
For the Nets.
For the Nets. Oh, well done, man. Well done.
Yeah,
well
nice.
done.
Love those old jerseys too. Yeah. Wow. Tellus Frank, Purvis Short, Zarko. What was that pack? Do we have any decent players in that pack at all?
No, these are the Series 1 as well. The Series
normally
2.
Series 2 is the more random one. Yeah. So who are the best players you called out then?
I would say we got
Jerome Kersey.
Jerome Kersey. We got Chris Mullin.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, Mullin's definitely the best.
Bill Cartwright. We got Herb Williams. We got Eddie Johnson. We got Scott Brooks. And we got Will Perdue and James Worthy. So it's
and then a bunch of no-names that only sickos like me would know. Yeah.
Are these the series? These are the Series 1s, man. I think, right? The orange ones are the Series. Yeah.
Didn't we have the green ones?
The green ones are Series 2. Yeah, from memory.
Really? Because last week was a pretty star-studded pack, wasn't it?
Maybe I got it mixed up. Stewie, let us know. You know?
Okay. Yeah.
All right, man.
Nice. That's fun. Yeah, definitely. Well, yeah, as Woody said at the start, please make sure you like, rate, and subscribe on YouTube. Thanks to the big numbers we got again last week. Really appreciate that. I know we've got a couple of special shows coming up, so looking forward to have a few guests on as well, which will be exciting. Just a reminder where we can be followed. On X, we're at Throwback Hoops. Instagram, throwback.hoops, and our email address, throwbackhoopspodcast@gmail.com. Patreon, please check us out on that if you want to pledge a little bit of support. Just a couple of dollars a month. We'd really appreciate that to help out with some of the expenses with producing the podcast.
Thanks, Robbie. And look, everyone, enjoy the conference finals. As Robbie said, we're going to have some guests on our shows over the next 2 weeks. So really looking forward to doing it again in 7 days' time. Robbie, any final thoughts?
Nah, like as I said, really looking forward to watch this Western Conference final series starting tomorrow. I'll certainly be working and having one eye on the TV as well. So, yeah, and get out and support NBL1.
Much love, peeps.